Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card that we are starting our day off with today is the 10 of Cups in its reversal. So, circumstances and situations that may need to be addressed as it relates to long-term plans, long-term possibilities, long-term goals right now. There could be a moment right now that is requiring some sense of realignment. You will point out that this is very much in relation to where we saw some of the energy, particularly in partnership at this time. Masculine and feminine energy effectively in partnership yesterday was almost recalling some of their energy, so that you can move forward with more unified approaches to new projects, new opportunities, new plans right now. This is taking some point of recalibration. As I said, more of this continuation that we may have identified yesterday in partnership to really ascertain what that long-term plan or what that long-term goal is going to look like. This is going to feel like some difficult conversations today potentially, but also very productive, particularly if you are in partnership. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is coming into partnership right now. This is having to do more with that alignment in terms of trying to navigate and understand what it is that you are both effectively seeking in the long term to be able to chart that path going forward. One of the things I did point out that we saw for the energies that are moving into partnership right now is there may have even been a point yesterday where feminine recognized the difference between asking for something and receiving something, because feminine energy did almost reach a point of overwhelm potentially around what they were getting from masculine, but feminine also recognizing that they effectively asked for that from the masculine energy. For feminine right now, there may be something about recalibrating in terms of what you are learning or discovering around that masculine energy that is requiring a bit of adjustment. Masculine, you may be experiencing this as well, particularly because for the masculine energy, we're seeing that if you're moving into partnership right now, you've had to close out a lot of cycles around you. There's a moment right now that you're kind of pulling back and calling back your own energy. And this is taking more recalibration in terms of what that long-term path looks like. Feminine and masculine moving into partnership right now, this is potentially having to navigate these points to really make sure that you are on the same page in terms of what it is that you're seeking. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is in separation at this time, this is some feelings of frustration that we are seeing that is rising to the surface as it relates to your long-term path and your long-term goal moving forward. Feminine energy, we did identify that feminine is moving forward very quickly. If feminine energy offered union or partnership to masculine and it was declined, feminine energy is allowing a cycle to just reach a point of finalitude. We are seeing that. Doors are being closed, blockages are happening. This is a moment that feminine is immediately moving forward to try to find what they're manifesting right now. But we did see that feminine was feeling a point of frustration related to the fact that they were going to have to basically begin their search again. This could be feeling right now today, if you are in separation, some of that feeling of anxiety, some of that feeling of fear potentially rising to the surface as it relates to your manifestation goals. If you are feeling this today, feminine, I want you to focus on your manifestation goals. I want you to write them down. I want you to get yourself back in a positive and gratitude mindset. That is going to help you navigate some of these points of anxiety that you may be feeling. Masculine that is in separation right now, this is more of that energy that we saw that was effectively happening yesterday as it relates to one's own personal sense of internal journeying, maybe even navigating some spaces or places that feel like a bit of an internal crisis. This internal crisis for the masculine that's in separation right now is going to feel very difficult, but I feel like it is also coming through as very productive, because what we're effectively seeing at this time is the fact that masculine energy that is moving from separation at this time, specifically potentially masculine energy that turned down or rejected an offer of union or partnership, recognizing that you are effectively ending or creating an unhealed karmic energy in the process at this time. You are going through a journey right now that's making you have to really ask oneself what it is that you are truly seeking in the long term. What we identified that was effectively happening for masculine, and we kind of identified and articulated this yesterday as kind of feeling like you want to go forward right now, but you're not necessarily sure where the map is this is requiring you to do more of this work internally right now to really secure and isolate what that long-term path and plan is for yourself at this moment. Maybe potentially even having questions right now about whether you desire partnership at all, or are you continuing to move forward on your own autonomous journey. Next card we have coming through right now in our 5-card spread for today Second card in our read we have here. We like this because even though there are some doubts, some fears, some anxieties potentially coming to the surface as it relates to the long-term plan, the long-term goal, it's being handled and addressed almost immediately with communication. This is communication specifically oriented about clearing up any of these confusing aspects here. Really trying to secure and isolate and recognize what this is going to look like in the long term. We like this because this isn't something that is being fled away from. It's not something that is not being addressed. It's quite the opposite. This is trying to get to the heart of the matter to make sure that you can get on the same page as it relates to the long-term manifestation goals for all energy. So potentially a lot of communication, a lot of planning, potentially even travel today to be able to secure and isolate what these long-term plans and paths are. Third card coming through right now in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here King of Wands in its reversal. This is going to feel different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy, and as well if you are in partnership or not in partnership. Masculine energy right now that is in partnership. This could be leaning right now on the feminine energy a lot to work on issues around communication, trying to ascertain some things. One of the things that we did see was that masculine energy was effectively being leaned on yesterday by feminine. This card was in its upright yesterday, particularly in partnership. Feminine energy was feeling some points of overwhelm and getting advice or input from the masculine energy in terms of how to navigate forward from this time. One of the difficulties that we're seeing right now is masculine is potentially having their own blockages in this area at this moment. Masculine, this may be feeling right now, if you are in partnership, as some blockages in the realms of communication, your own passion, your own creativity. We see here that the masculine isn't necessarily moving away from this right now, but more effectively trying to communicate to get to the heart of situations and circumstances. This could be masculine energy. This is some of the doubts or fears that you have about those long-term goals. You may be putting a lot of effort right now in to clear them up, because we're seeing that while this manifestation goal isn't clear, it does create something that feels like a bit of a creative or passion hurdle in the present moment. Feminine energy that is in partnership with masculine today, you may be identifying and seeing the fact that masculine energy is in this vibration or capacity. This could even be a moment right now where, while you may want to be very communicative on things, masculine may be feeling a little bit more reticent, because what we're seeing here is that masculine energy is potentially looking outwards right now to get this type of input, and you may be looking towards masculine for this. So I want you to keep in mind that for feminine right now in this vibration, you're both effectively trying to do the same thing. The problem is feminine may be trying to get that clarification from masculine on what that long-term path is, and masculine is trying to get that externally for themselves at this time. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership right now, this is potentially some of that disparity that we saw may have been coming into place as it relates to what masculine energy was communicating to you yesterday versus how you were receiving it. I will point out, I yelled at all the feminine energy that was in this vibration yesterday, that if you ask for something from masculine, if you ask for masculine to come forward, to be honest, to be open, and they did so, you had better be prepared to be okay and accommodating to what they revealed. This is potentially the feminine energy right now having a little bit of a whiplash point that we're effectively seeing, because we did recognize that for some of the feminine that's moving into partnership right now, what you were receiving was a bit overwhelming. It's created some doubts and fears in the masculine at this time. You may even be communicating this towards the masculine at this moment to try to identify and make sure that you are both on the same page. Masculine, if you're moving into partnership with feminine at this time, you may be recognizing that this happened. You may be feeling this anxiety or fear that you are being misunderstood, confused. You may be trying to do everything you can right now to try to overcome this hurdle, to make sure that your true intentions are clear. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is going to feel very different. As we said, feminine energy is feeling some points of frustration right now as it relates to their long-term path or goal moving forward. We identify for the feminine energy, you had potentially even called masculine to task, asking them if they wanted to come in a union, not necessarily getting the answer that you desire, or seeing something about that masculine energy that moved away from you instead of towards you, from asking those questions and refusing to give clarity. This is that moment that, again, feminine energy is feeling the frustration, and it's creating a bit of a turn right now, because what's effectively happening for the feminine energy is this is more of that confirmation right now towards that masculine in terms of feeling the frustration. Feminine energy was feeling a lot of anxiety that masculine energy was effectively wasting their time. Time has been a very huge factor right now as it relates to this. Feminine energy does not want any masculine energy that they feel is not aligned to the long-term path or long-term goals. Some of the frustration that feminine is seeing right now or feeling has to do with the fact that even if they're moving forward at this time, there's a lot of doubt and potential fear that's effectively occurring right now, because feminine is trying to make sure and identify masculine energy that isn't necessarily just serving their own purposes at this moment, but is really focusing and fixed on the same long-term manifestation goals at this time. The anxiety point for some of the feminine that you may be feeling right now is you are necessarily trying to be very cautious and careful to make sure that the masculine isn't necessarily in that modality where they're wasting your time. And there could even be a lot of communication that feminine is putting right now as it relates, if in separation, to having communication with masculine to really try to ascertain and suss out if this is masculine energy that truly wants to be in partnership, or if this is something that the masculine is indicating they want, but they don't necessarily truly want. This is where we see feminine energy is feeling some of that frustration today, but they're trying to get to the bottom of it through a lot of communication. Now, for masculine energy that is in this point of separation, potentially masculine energy that moved away or walked away from a possibility of a long-term manifestation goal. This is masculine energy having effectively rejected something. Masculine energy, you recognize that you effectively potentially rejected some kind of long-term positive import here. There's something here that you recognize that you moved away from. And the problem is, as you're doing this right now, it's making you have to do this work in terms of really asking yourself what it is that you truly want going forward. There could even be right now for masculine energy a lot of work that you're doing right now to try to ascertain this. What's interesting right now, though, for the masculine energy that is in separation, we are potentially seeing here, and this is what we want to make sure that you're not doing, especially if we see this with like the cart in front of the horse here, is masculine. We're seeing that you're having a lot of communication today. You're having a lot of planning. You're trying to ascertain what is potentially available to you. One of the things we want to make sure that the masculine in this vibration isn't doing right now, if you are in separation, is making sure that you're moving with a lot of intentionality at this time. Not just moving with the space or place and seeing what's available to you, as opposed to what it is that you truly desire. Masculine, this could be you kind of navigating some of this energy, a lot of that continuation that we saw yesterday. But there is a problem right now with the masculine that is in this vibration where it's like you're feeling creatively blocked, you're feeling potentially creatively stuck, you're almost like looking for this outside of the self instead of within. Fourth card in our 5 cards per spread for today is, we have here the 9 of Swords. So situations or circumstances that may be feeling or causing some level or degree of crisis at this time. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is working in partnership or union at this time, this is that collaborative effort to navigate spaces and places that are hard to navigate. Masculine right now, you could potentially even be leaning on the feminine right now, if in partnership, to help you through your own creative and planning and passion channels right now. This is potentially masculine energy feeling a moment of being uncertain what to do around some circumstances or situations, specifically because some of those doubts and fears are coming into play. There could potentially even be a lot of communication right now for the masculine and feminine in partnership to be able to clear up or ascertain what that long-term path, what that long-term goal is going forward. Feminine, one of the things that you want to be cautious or careful of right now, if you are in partnership, is making sure that you don't necessarily lean on the masculine energy too much today, because we do see here that masculine is going through a bit of overwhelm. They're feeling a little bit of this creative and communication blockage. Feminine, you may also be feeling this right now. The difficulty or the hurdle for the feminine that's feeling this right now is you may be turning to the masculine for some point of clarity on these areas. But we're seeing here that masculine isn't necessarily in that modality or vibration to be able to tell you. There's almost potentially something here where the masculine is also waiting to understand something more fully so that they can build that point of clarity in terms of going forward from this time. So a little bit of caution right now for the partnerships or the energies in partnership to make sure that you're giving each other the support you need. Because we do see here that we've got a lot of communication that's effectively at play, but we also have a lot of turbulence that maybe hit today that needs to be navigated. So we want to make sure that that communication is coming from a positive, productive space. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership right now. This is, again, the feminine's doubts and fears that were effectively rising to the surface right now. We pointed out this is a very trepidatious feminine energy. Feminine energy is only allowing masculine in a little bit. And one of the reasons that the feminine energy is doing that is by masculine being as open and forthright as possible as it relates to the situations and circumstances surrounding the masculine energy. Masculine, this is creating a bit of a challenging space for you. You potentially could even be seeing right now, masculine, that something about what you're revealing to the feminine is hard for the feminine to bear. You are potentially even trying to clarify to the feminine energy right now your intentionality, recognizing and trying to articulate to them what your own manifestation goals are to make sure that you guys are on the same page. It may be feeling like a bit more of a challenging space though today, masculine, because we see here that there's a lot of fear in terms of feeling like you are potentially being misunderstood and wanting to almost add some level or degree of clarity to situations and circumstances at this time. Feminine that's experiencing this right now, there is this point of hesitancy that is still being reached around this masculine energy. I will point out though, as I said, this is almost looking to a certain level like the feminine energy asked for something, received it, and is now not necessarily taking it as well as they had ideally desired. Feminine that's going through this right now, I want you to remember that this is, especially if you asked for this, as I mentioned, this is where we see that you come from, and it's taking some moment to have to navigate this feeling. Feminine energy is also potentially trying to ascertain right now to the masculine if they are on the same page in terms of the long-term path going forward. Feminine energy and separation right now, this is potentially some of the grief and frustration that you're potentially feeling from over the last few days effectively catching up with you today. There are some feelings of frustration and loss here for the feminine energy that is in separation. There was even potentially a moment that you potentially called masculine energy to task here, and the masculine energy effectively disappointed you or walked away. This is feminine energy effectively having that moment of looking at these circumstances and situations and feeling that collective frustration towards them. This is not necessarily the space or place that the feminine energy desired to be in with this masculine energy, but feminine is also recognizing right now that they cannot effectively make the masculine energy share the same long-term goals or plans as them. This is why we see that the feminine energy is feeling so much frustration today, but we do like this because feminine is being very productive even in the process of it. Feminine energy is almost utilizing this right now as a moment of immediately putting out feelers, continuing to go on their own journey. This is what we mean right now with the fact that even while feminine is trying to heal, they're utilizing this time and space to be as productive as possible, recognizing and trying to move away from energy that they're now feeling the frustration may have effectively wasted their time. Masculine energy that is moving through right now in separation, this is effectively also that moment that you are recognizing right now some of the hurdles and some of the situations that are currently at play right now. For masculine energy at this moment, this is potentially even circumstances or situations that you have effectively moved away from that had some possibility of a long-term outcome. This is potentially even partnership energy that you rejected or decided to move against. You are now in that point of understanding and trying to ascertain what it is that you truly want going forward. The problem right now, and I'm going to articulate this again to the masculine energy that is in separation at this time, is making sure you're not putting the cart in front of the horse, making sure that you're moving with that state of intentionality at this time, because we almost see that there's a lot of grief and frustration that you're bearing as it relates to your own anxieties and fears about the future. But we also see that you're moving forward, trying to communicate at this time, trying to make plans in the wake of some of this feeling of fear or frustration at this time. Masculine energy going through this, I really want to stress to you, I want you to ground, I want you to focus, I want you to really identify what it is that you're truly moving forward towards right now. So you move from a space or place of intentionality instead of reactivity. Because I need to stress right now that for some of the masculine energy that's in separation right now, this could be feeling like a lot of activity, but it might not necessarily be the most productive activity. We want to make sure that you keep this in a positive vibration. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is 2 cards coming out. We love these cards. This is exactly what we want to see right now at the end of this 5-card spread. Because what is the ultimate outcome of this work for today? Healing and a higher sense of purpose. Healing and a higher sense of purpose for all energies at play. Masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this time. This is a moment, as I mentioned, that you are looking at the disparities in terms of the long-term manifestation goals. You are communicating. Masculine is potentially bearing a lot of anxiety and fear right now. Again, if you are in partnership today, I do not want you bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, I do not want you putting too much excessive pressure on this masculine today, because we do see that they're going through some internal creative and passion hurdles that may not necessarily allow for the most productive conversations. And masculine is effectively doing this on the outwards point for the feminine. I need the feminine to understand that if masculine isn't communicating with them immediately in the internal space of the partnership right now, this is because masculine's trying to get some clearance points about like outside circumstances or situations. This is effectively coming in right now as healing and a higher purpose coming in for feminine and masculine in partnership. Now, feminine that is effectively going through this right now, this could almost be you seeing the masculine doing this right now. This could be a moment that you are identifying that your masculine energy, even through some point of hurdle or crisis right now, is doing the work to try to clear a blockage. And that is what is potentially even reinforcing and re-encouraging you in partnership at this moment, that is continuing healing and is allowing you to continue to focus and maintain a singular purpose, a singular goal as you proceed forward from this point. Now, masculine and feminine energy that are moving into partnership at this time, what we effectively are seeing right now is the fact that this is a moment that is helping you move into further healing. It is difficult is what we're really seeing, because again, feminine energy, you effectively requested information from masculine. You wanted this openness, you wanted this expression. The problem for the feminine energy that's in this vibration right now is what you are receiving from the masculine is overwhelming enough that it's creating some space and place of grief for you at this time. Masculine may even be identifying that this is happening right now and trying to recalibrate to make sure that they are not being misunderstood in this way. For masculine and feminine that are moving into partnership right now, this is working through and healing from all of the situations and circumstances with a continued affirmation in terms of a unified sense of a higher purpose and goal, i.e. the relationship. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is in separation at this time, what we are effectively seeing is there is a lot of healing coming through on this right now. As we saw, feminine energy is effectively, if you are in separation, you are building this ability to come into a point of recovery around some of these circumstances or situations more quickly. Feminine energy is effectively closing out cycles right now. And the point of closure that we are really seeing is feminine energy not wanting to be in any space or place with masculine energy that is only moving based on their own needs, their own desires at this time. Feminine energy recognizes that allowing this type of energy in just creates more grief and more anxiety, because while there may be desire here, it doesn't lead to the long-term goal that the feminine energy is effectively desiring at this moment. Feminine energy is not sticking towards this right now. I need to warn for some of the feminines, making sure that you're not having any like aggressive communication towards this type of energy right now, because we are seeing that there is a bit of this energy that's coming through right now in terms of potentially feeling like a little bit of a whiplash moment today for the feminine energy that's in separation. You may want to be saying a lot of things because yesterday we saw you closing and now we see you moving. I want to stress to the feminine energy, make sure that the communication that you're having today is also productive. Because what we're really seeing is feminine energy is working right now on their own healing, and they're staying very focused in terms of what it is that they truly are after. And that is that long-term manifestation goal that they're trying to recover from. But feminine is feeling a lot of frustration about the fact that they may even feel right now that some masculine energy around them effectively wasted their time. And they may be very articulate about it today. Masculine, for your part right now, we are seeing that this is a lot more of this internal work right now. If you are moving away from some kind of partnership opportunity. For masculine energy that is in separation at this time, this is a moment that may be feeling like there are some points of confusion. You are trying to ascertain what it is that you truly desire. We even identified and recognized for the masculine energy over the last few days, there's been a lot of work that you've effectively been doing to really go inwards, to ask yourself what it is that is your higher purpose, what it is that you are truly seeking at this time. Masculine energy, a lot of this is continuing to do a lot of this internal work today. I'm even seeing right right now that a lot of this is really coming into continuation of that inner journey. And it is hard. It is heavy. We are seeing here that the masculine, in order to do this type of work, you have to effectively look at the trauma, the grief that you've effectively carried to this point, potentially even recognizing how some of that trauma and grief has potentially blocked you from long-term manifestation goals in the future. This is that moment that masculine, you may even be considering whether your actions are coming from a space of intentionality, manifesting what it is that you truly desire, or if you are reacting from a space and place of trauma. Masculine, you're effectively balancing these points right now, but we love to see this work because it's really truly showing that there's a lot of healing that is effectively coming from this work today. One of the things I do warn about the masculine going through this moment right now is you may be feeling highly, highly triggered right now. You may be feeling very triggered to want to react to something, to want to move forward. You know, you're almost like seeing that. But what we appreciate about this right now is you are potentially identifying that within the self as it is occurring. And that is the point that is helping you come into a point of healing. This is the recognition of a pattern effectively. Now, let's continue to get clarification on these cards right now. Clarification between our 10 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our 8 of Wands. So, manifestation work right now, a lot of things working right now, a lot of movement today to try to clear up any gray areas as it relates to the long-term plans and path moving forward. This could be addressing any blockages to manifestation goals today, or it could be addressing any feelings of misalignment between partied energies as it relates to what that path ahead looks like right now. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, we have here, 5 of Wands. This is potentially bringing up some points of conflict today, okay? What we're effectively seeing right now for masculine and feminine energy that's going through this, even if you're in partnership, I need to warn the partnered energies right now, be kind to each other today, okay? Because there may be a feeling right now of some frustration as it relates to the unified energies, even in partnership and union right now. Feeling like there's a little bit of a misalignment in terms of where one direction wants to go versus where the other direction wants to go. All right. This is like trying to get everyone on the ship going in the same direction right now. Masculine and feminine energy right now may be going through some points right now that feel like, again, there's a lot of possibility for progress today, but there's also a lot of possibility for conflict. So we want you to be very sensitive if you are in partnership today, not to get triggered, to work from a state or place of intentionality. Really focus on those long-term paths, those long-term goals moving forward, identifying what that effectively looks like at this time so that you can clear any of these blockages and hurdles, because there's a lot of productivity here, but it's feeling like a little bit like going up a hill right now. This may even have to deal right now with the masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this time as having to deal with a lot of external conflicts. This is trying to get to the bottom of not just the internal situations, making sure that you're both on the same page in terms of the long-term path going forward, but also having to address anything externally that you feel is effectively blocking you from being able to go towards that direction. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership right now, this is more of that continuation of the anxiety and the fact that, again, something about what has been revealed or what is being communicated is almost immediately creating problems. I'm going to say this again. If you are a feminine energy that asks the masculine energy to come forward, to be open to you, this is potentially you realizing and recognizing what you've effectively done, because now you are potentially even having a lot of that internal struggle right now, feminine, in terms of what you received and how you effectively are handling it. This is creating some moments right now that is, again, this is taking a trepidatious feminine energy that was having trepidation or caution going into partnership at this time. It's furthering that trepidation. Masculine, you may also be recognizing this right now, and you're potentially trying to ascertain and really clarify to the feminine your intentionality, that you're coming from a space of authenticity. I gotta warn again, be careful of triggers today. Let this be productive conversations and not turn into spaces and places of conflict, because it is very conflicty, okay? There's internal conflicts happening or external. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is in separation at this time. This is dealing with that point of conflict for yourself at this moment. Feminine is feeling a lot of frustration today. Feminine is even potentially, if this is a feminine energy that was effectively blocking off some of this masculine energy today, there's potentially even coming through right now this feeling of ferocity that's potentially coming into play, because feminine energy effectively feels like they may have not necessarily been led in the right direction. Feminine's perception on things is effectively shifting right now. They're looking at this right now and they're feeling the frustration about having their long-term path feel like it was blocked or feel like it was not necessarily taken into account. Feminine energy is working right now on creating this back for themselves today, but I will also stress to the feminine energy right now that if you are feeling this, I don't want you to react from a space of reactivity. I don't want you to necessarily create some points of conflict, because what we're potentially seeing here today is this is a feminine energy that was effectively blocking someone for not necessarily moving in the same direction of them. And today, feminine energy is saying, maybe I don't block. Maybe instead I should just, give someone a piece of my mind, be able to articulate on this. This is what we're effectively seeing right now that some of the feminine may be feeling at this time. So I'm saying to the feminines is feeling like that, make sure that you stay in a positive vibration. Make sure you stay in this point where you take this energy and you channel it outwards instead of going back to situations and circumstances that may be creating further conflict. Now, masculine that's effectively in separation at this moment, this is potentially you feeling that point of conflict for yourself at this time. There is something here where, again, you are really trying to identify what that long-term path, what that long-term goal is for yourself at this moment. This is potentially even feeling a lot of potential internal difficulty, internal strife. This, for the masculine energy to some extent, is also maybe potentially looking at something right now in terms of what was effectively offered to you at this moment and really trying to ask yourself if it is something that you want. This is, again, masculine energy recalibrating, because this is a masculine energy that's doing some of this internal work right now. The problem is with this, it's creating a space where masculine's not sure, there's a struggle point, because masculine wants to move towards some manifestation goals, but at the same time they don't. This is more of that internal push and pull that we see is happening right now with the masculine. The thing that's important right now for the masculine energy and separation that is doing this work internally is you're potentially seeing it. You're potentially seeing how, to a certain extent, you might be standing in your own way right now. And that in itself is making you go through this further work. So even this is a point of productivity, because we see that it is helping you observe the point of internal conflict, even as you are experiencing it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Eight of Wands in combination with our King of Wands in its reversal. Masculine energy, I want to make sure that you don't get triggered today, okay? I want to make sure that you're moving with a lot of intentionality, okay? Because what are we seeing right now? We're seeing a masculine. You might not necessarily have the plan in your head. You might not necessarily know what you're going to say, but you sure want to do it. You sure want to say something is what we see that's potentially happening today. And we want to really make sure that if you're in that masculine vibration, that you're moving with a lot of intentionality right now versus just saying something first and then thinking about it later. We don't want that to happen today. For all of the masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. Make sure you're moving with that intentionality. Feminine, this is also a bit of a point right now that you may be identifying and recognizing something that you are effectively wanting to say right now. The problem is, and again, there's something about the masculine energy being in this blockage point right now that could be hitting different points for the feminine. In partnership right now for the feminine, this could be feeling some point or recognizing that the masculine energy isn't necessarily in a space where they're able to articulate or give you clarity that you may need on some things right now. This may also be because masculine's dealing with some things outside of the situation or circumstance, or has some burdens that they're carrying right now. This is potentially feminine maybe picking up the weight right now, or picking up the slack for the masculine energy in partnership that they're seeing is in this capacity right now. For masculine and feminine energy that's moving into partnership at this moment, this is more of that continuation of feminine receiving a lot of information that's now making them question the masculine. You asked for this, feminine. If you asked for it, keep that in mind. Masculine, this is potentially, if you're moving into partnership, trying to work to make sure that you're not being misunderstood in how the feminine's seeing you versus what you've told them. Masculine and feminine energy right now, not in partnership. This is a lot of that reactivity today. I want to make sure that if you're in separation, you are not reacting in non-helpful, productive ways towards energy, because I feel here that there is a little bit of this like vibration that we're seeing right now. May I please have one card to clarify? Emperor in its reversal. Okay, so masculine and feminine energy right now. Again, this is a very triggering day for masculine potentially. Masculine energy, if you're in this moment, if you're in this modality, I want you to do a lot of work right now to ground. I want you to do a lot of work right now to work on your own goals, to really kind of seat yourself within yourself as you navigate some of this energy today. So for masculine energy right now, in and out of partnership, there is something here where you're feeling something that is effectively out of your hands to a certain extent. You're potentially navigating or dealing with something right now where you're feeling some point or level of disempowerment that's effectively coming into play. This is a bit of a challenging space is what we're really identifying and seeing. Masculine, you may be doing a lot of work right now to try to navigate this right now. But this is also why feminine, you may be seeing that the masculine is in this moment where they may feel a little bit more triggered. They may be acting a little bit more closed off, is because there's something here that the masculine energy is trying to work through internally at this time. Now, feminine, if you're in partnership right now, identifying this is going to potentially help you kind of move into spaces and places of having that productive conversation to support the masculine energy at this time. Masculine and feminine energy that's moving into partnership at this moment, this is something that is feeling very triggering. You are having triggering conversations. Feminine energy effectively asks masculine to open up to them to a certain degree. Masculine, you're potentially seeing the fact that the feminine energy is having a hard time embracing what you've articulated or what you're saying to them right now. It's creating some space or place for you where you may be feeling further disempowered or uncomfortable, potentially even frustrated by the fact that the feminine energy asks for these things and isn't necessarily like, you can almost identify or see the fact that there's either some fear that you're feeling about how it's actually being taken right now, or you're seeing that effectively happening. Masculine is trying to work through this right now, which is, again, feminine. If you ask for these things, if you ask the masculine to be open at this time, there may be something that you have to recognize about the fact that the masculine energy is in a space or place where they're feeling very vulnerable about this. Feminine and masculine working right now to make sure that you're not coming from a point of being triggered is going to be very important at this time, because these are difficult conversations that are effectively happening. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation right now, this is very triggering energy to see. Both sides, this could be a deep trigger point is what we're effectively seeing. Because what we're really seeing right now for the masculine and feminine energy that are in separation is feminine. This is like a point where you're feeling a lot of the collective anger or frustration or grief that we're seeing, specifically as it relates to some kind of manifestation goal that you feel like you're not necessarily moving in the direction of. This is potentially even looking back towards some of that energy that you effectively feel put you in this vibration right now, and feeling some of that frustration, looking at it from a space or place of feeling like potentially you were like in a space or place where this wasn't moving you in a direction intentionally that you would ideally desire. The feminine energy right now is feeling very articulate and desiring, communicating around this. So again, I'm just stressing right now, feminine, if you're in this vibration, make sure that you keep it and you utilize it and you put it in productive channels so that we don't necessarily create more conflict at this time. Masculine energy, this is also challenging because you are also in this vibration right now if you're in separation. Masculine energy in separation at this time, you're feeling somewhat disempowered. You're not necessarily sure what to say through that point of disempowerment. We see that there's communication that's effectively happening. The issue or the problem right now is, again, the communication may be happening before the thought is being put into what is being said. That is that point that we're seeing right now, that we want to make sure that we move through this trigger point, because these cards in combination are very, very triggering. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Wands and its reversal in combination with our Nine of Swords. So feeling some points of frustration, anger, anxiety, bearing some weight right now. Masculine energy, this is a moment that is very difficult potentially for you at this time. If depending on whether you are in masculine or feminine energy or in partnership at this moment, this is going to feel a little bit different. Masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this time, this is potentially feminine lending some support to masculine energy that is going through some difficult hurdles at this time. This is the collective shared energy of those energies in partnership at this moment, working collaboratively and together to help navigate some of these difficult spaces and places. Masculine may be having a harder time communicating around these things at this time, even in partnership at this moment. Effectively, we're seeing that feminine energy may be taking up the slack as it relates to communication and planning at this time to help the masculine energy that is in this vibration if you are in partnership at this moment. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership at this time, as we saw, this is potentially showing some spaces or places where the feminine energy asks the masculine energy to open up to them. Masculine is doing that. The problem is feminine is now bearing the weight of what is effectively being opened or shared or revealed to them at this moment. It is taking a lot to experience and to embrace it. Feminine energy is feeling a lot of that anxiety as they navigate forward from this point. But again, for the masculines that are working with this in the feminine and into partnership, you may be identifying that this is effectively happening. You're potentially even trying to utilize this as a point of correction to make sure that you're not being misunderstood. But you are also feeling the anxiety in terms of having been asked for something, coming forth on it, potentially having some kind of whiplash on it. And now it's like there's, again, a little bit of a trigger point that needs to be addressed and paid attention to today. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation. This is a lot of heavy energy here. This is feminine energy kind of moving into that space or place of deep anger, deep fear, deep frustration, potentially around a masculine energy that they may feel now has kind of effectively led them astray to some extent. Feminine energy could potentially be looking right now towards masculine energy if they're in separation and feeling the frustration of feeling like this is something that felt that like it was intentional. Feminine energy, I'm going to stress again, make sure that you're not necessarily operating from a space or place of a trigger point today because this is very heavy energy to bear with. Masculine, you're going through this internal journey right now. You are feeling the weight of uncertainty in terms of where to go going forward from this time. You are feeling somewhat disempowered. You may even be considering or looking back on what you effectively rejected and feeling a bit of push-pull as to whether you should have done so. Masculine, you're doing a lot of work right now in terms of truly trying to identify what it is you want to go forth with at this time, but it's taking a lot of work. This has been a rough week for the masculine energy and separation because we really see here that there's a point of uncertainty that you're reaching, but that point of uncertainty is happening internally, but we are also seeing that it is productive because you are starting to recognize some of these patterns within the self. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with King of Swords in its upright. We love to see this right now. We love to see this. This is positivity. This is moving things in a positive direction because what we're really seeing is, again, masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership or in divine union at this time. This is a moment that feminine energy is recognizing and seeing the fact. They're feeling the security of working right now with masculine energy that holds and maintains a point of integrity. This is masculine energy that's effectively in a space or place where they recognize that there is some quality of protectiveness that comes into play here. Even while masculine energy may be going through some circumstances or situations that are feeling somewhat challenging at this time, we are really identifying right now that the feminine energy is leaning towards that masculine energy for that sense of security and stability through some situations that they're both navigating. Masculine, this is effectively you being in partnership at this time and also coming forward from a place of integrity. You're allowing your effective actions to speak volumes for how you are proceeding from this point. For masculine energy that's navigating in these spaces and places at this time, there is something here that is frustrating because we see that you're effectively carrying something that you effectively feel is completely out of your control. You're not necessarily allowing yourself to get triggered by it. You're trying to do everything you can to navigate around it right now. But we also see that something about this process is helping you maintain a higher sense of integrity at this moment, being fortified and protected in the partnership itself. That is why this is becoming a bit of a healing journey. This is much more of a healing journey for the masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this moment. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership at this time, because we saw that there's a lot of energy right now that is moving into divine union at this time or working into divine union. We are effectively seeing that feminine energy, this is the conflict point that you may find yourself in at this moment. This is why feminine energy is carrying this, because feminine energy that's in this point recognizes that they may have effectively done this to themselves. This is why it's a point of frustration for the feminine right now, because as we are identifying, this is a feminine energy that potentially asks the masculine energy to come forward in this fashion, to be open, to be clear. Hence is the problem with the feminine energy moving into partnership at this moment, because what we now identify as happening is this is a feminine energy that asked something from the masculine. Masculine effectively told her. Feminine energy does not like what she is hearing. It is a lot of very overwhelming, but feminine energy also recognizes that masculine energy is holding to the integrity of what they asked for. The feminine energy basically asked for this. So while it may be feeling frustrating, feminine also is bearing the weight that they recognize that the masculine is basically giving them what they effectively asked for at this time, which is why this is becoming a bit of an internal weight for the feminine in terms of trying to identify what to do going forward. Masculine, this is effectively you if you're trying to work in partnership at this time or move into union. You're effectively potentially saying this to the feminine energy. You're like, you asked, I answered. You're holding and you're utilizing this as this point of frustration, and you're trying to say, I knew, this is a masculine energy, potentially even trying to say to feminine, I knew this would happen. I knew this would be difficult. I knew this would be something that is hard to bear, but I'm trying to show you that I'm sticking to my integrity. I'm trying to show you that I'm holding forth the way that I said that I would. So this is masculine energy in a difficult position, because while masculine energy may feel like they want to stop expressing in this way, masculine energy effectively realizes that they need to stay firm in this and continue to move from this state and place of integrity. Okay? Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is going to feel much more difficult. Masculine and feminine energy in separation, there's a lot of trigger points that are getting hit here. This is feminine energy. I need to point out, for a lot of this feminine energy right now, this is feminine energy in separation that effectively closed the door on masculine. And now they feel like they got something to say. Now they feel like they're getting that like wave of frustration, that wave of like grief, that wave of like, of trauma coming in to a certain extent, because feminine energy is feeling now to a certain extent, if you're in separation, if you ask the masculine energy to come forward in this way and they didn't, and then you kind of block them out, you're now feeling like this was something where you feel like you were potentially misled on a manifestation goal. You're feeling like this is something that was kind of like dangled before you, taken away. This is you bearing that weight, feeling that frustration. But again, and this is what we like about this is when I say, don't let this become a trigger point. Feminine energy is utilizing and focusing on manifesting forward masculine energy that stands in their integrity. That's how feminine energy is navigating through this right now, rather than returning back to the masculine energy that they may have effectively felt was in this vibration. Masculine and feminine energy is really focusing on seeking right now the masculine energy that is standing in their integrity. Masculine, this is a moment right now, if you are in separation, where this is effectively you coming into a deeper sense of understanding around one's own self, around one's own trauma, around one's own triggers. You may even be now recognizing and seeing some aspects of yourself that you may not necessarily have seen in the past, in the way that you experienced it. And it is hard, because we're seeing here that there's something that feels very disempowering. This is more of that transformational energy that we have been seeing that has been coming through for the masculine energy in separation at this time. This is a hard, difficult growing process is what we're seeing, because it is helping you recognize and see yourself from a perspective that you may not have seen before. You may even be recognizing right now moments where you let yourself respond from a space of reactivity that may have effectively blocked or ruined the possibility of a long-term manifestation goal at this time. This is that recalibration point as you observe this with yourself, and it's helping you. The point of guidance that masculine is coming through with this right now, if you're going through separation right now, is masculine energy. It's helping you kind of want to regain some point of integrity here. It's helping you feel like you can proceed forward from now better, stronger, with a better sense of self, a better understanding on what you need to do. This is actually now coming through a point of difficulty for the masculine that is leading to a point of empowerment. It's almost again, it's helping you identify. This is the moment that we're seeing masculine is really starting to identify not only what you are after right now, not only what you are after, but what you need to heal to get it. And we see here that this is a moment that is allowing the masculine energy this heightened sense of self-empowerment that is going to help you because it's requiring you to be vulnerable prior to reaching it. This is that point of seeing the weakness in oneself that then can be corrected. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Swords in combination with our Seven of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Three of Swords. Huge cards coming through today here. What are we seeing? We are seeing difficulty, navigating difficulty, trauma, grief, fear that effectively allows for a renewed sense of purpose, a renewed sense of clarity, and deep healing in the process. This is observing trauma and utilizing it as a balm instead of a wound, allowing this to be a healing moment because a wound that is recognized is a wound that can be healed for all energies at play. May I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Pentacles. This is good. This is moving us into spaces and places of productivity. This is coming through in terms of recognizing, feeling, and I need to stress this, for the energy that is in partnership, this is the value of the divine partnership. It's recognizing that it creates a space of comfort. You have the room for security. You have the room for allowing oneself to go through this internal process of bearing grief, bearing shared collective grief, not letting it effectively react to you, but really kind of letting it continue to set your own intention to keep your purpose and goals and help heal in the process. This is the enforcement and the encouragement of the energy around you right now. You are actually saying to yourself, it may not necessarily be the easiest thing. You are unpacking a lot. You're potentially even unpacking a lot of trauma, but you're feeling the security of the energy and the circumstances that you're cultivating around you to be able to do this collective work effectively. This is the power of the partnership. This that divine union partner battery picking up, right? Now, masculine and feminine energy that is coming into union right now, if you're working into union right now, what we're effectively seeing is the fact that you are, that this is a moment that you are trying to find that security here in the situation and circumstances that are at play. As we saw for some of this energy right now, feminine, you may be feeling like you asked for something and now you're kind of regretting asking for it, but you're also recognizing that you kind of asked for this at this time. There's still some possibility of healing here because what the masculine needs to do right now is masculine is confirming in a way. And feminine, this is how you're going to navigate this today. You're recognizing that by being open to this level and degree, masculine is effectively confirming to you that you are their choice. There may even be a moment right now where masculine, you are also recognizing the feminine with all of the things that you're telling them right now. You're working through a place of healing because you're trying to articulate to them, you are my choice. You are, like, I'm telling you these things. I'm opening this degree to let you know that you are the one that I want to move forward with in this capacity, in this degree. This is you. And so this is creating that like immediate, like this is like square one. Again, more of that point of comfort. And this could even be a lot of conversation right now. Again, for masculine, trying to comfort, provide a point of comfort to a feminine energy to help them recognize this right now. For feminine, this is potentially having to articulate to the masculine what you are comfortable with, what they need to accommodate and adjust to create a sense of comfort going forward. Feminine energy is potentially seeing right now that something about this, as difficult as it may be, was done for their benefit. And that in itself for the feminine, while it's hard to bear, is also why feminine energy can bear it. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is much different, because these are internal journeys that are happening. Feminine energy, this is potentially, again, if you are in separation, you may have called masculine to task. You may have wanted to move forward in partnership. Masculine energy moved away. You are effectively ready to close the door on them right now. And now you're feeling like you got some stuff to say because feminine energy is feeling a lot of this grief right now. But again, feminine energy, if you're doing this work and you're not letting yourself get triggered, this is instead taking that energy, taking that grief, channeling it into what it is that you're truly seeking at this time. Feminine energy isn't letting themselves get reactive right now. And this is why, because feminine energy is instead taking that frustration and you are moving it into the space of letting it confirm and really focus on what it is that you're truly after at this time. And it's not necessarily a person. Feminine energy is recognizing that what they're truly after is something that they need to find in a person. It is not necessarily a person, because if the person does not desire that, then feminine energy cannot make them. This is why this is becoming a point of healing for the feminine, and feminine is putting that energy and care back into the self today. A lot of self-care today, potentially for feminine energy going through this, building this sense of peace and security, potentially even a lot of care and attention to detail to like the energy and the space around you at this time as you try to cultivate this energy for yourself at this moment. Masculine, this is giving some point of reprieve here. This is giving some of that point of easement. This has been a rough week right now for the masculine energy that is in separation at this time, because what we're effectively seeing that is happening right now for the masculine energy in this vibration is you have had to have a lot of time contemplating what it is that you effectively turned down that the feminine energy was offering you. Potentially even feeling a bit triggered today in terms of wanting to have some point of reactivity right now. This potentially could even be the masculine energy having recognized that some of that energy yesterday may have closed off or blocked, which is why you may be feeling even further disempowered right now, because again, masculine energy, you may have recognized that this was energy that was effectively closing the door right now, but it's requiring you to come into this space and place right now of internal work, of self-assessment, of potentially even identifying and recognizing cycles that you may have been in, potentially even recognizing right now that there's been some spaces and places and times right now where your own reactivity has preceded your own logical thinking, that has effectively potentially caused spaces and places that have moved you away from manifestation goals. You're doing a lot of work right now, masculine, to identify what it is that you're truly seeking right now. This is the work that the masculine energy and separation has been doing all week. Truly asking themselves, what is your purpose? What is that goal? What is it? Who is it? What is the thing that you are ultimately seeking right now? And masculine energy, even through some of this work and dealing with your own trauma right now, this is helping you focus on that. This is coming through and you're recognizing right now, and it's bittersweet here. We're seeing here that it's bittersweet because something about recognizing now, truly understanding and identifying what it is or who that person is or what that thing is that you truly want, it's requiring you to heal, and it's also requiring you to bear some grief right now as you do so. And it's also at the same time though, it is building an immediate sense of catharsis for you. It's almost like this is that light bulb moment. This is that light bulb moment for the masculine energy that is in separation at this time. That internal journey is resulting in you fixing and focusing and suddenly recognizing and understanding what it is that you're truly potentially after right now. And that is immediately providing some semblance of relief and security for you. This is what you are ultimately seeking, which is why we see that not only are you coming into a sense of comfort right now, but also a point of empowerment, because now you have your goal in mind, and now it's reaffirming your own sense of confidence. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Wands in combination with our Emperor in its reversal. This is a bit of that struggle energy that we're seeing right now. And I gotta stress, feminine, be a little kind to masculine today, because there's a lot of energy here with the masculines going through some situations and circumstances in partnership. Masculine is feeling the weight of some things or circumstances that feel out of their control, that they don't feel like they have the optics on. It's creating a lot of potential like internal combativeness for the masculine right now that's feeling this. Might bleed out into external conflict. This could be very triggering energy right now if you're in partnership with masculine. Feminine, just bear that in mind. Masculine, this is something that you're potentially feeling today in many capacities. Something here has you triggered. Something is feeling like a bit of a conflict moment. Make sure that you're moving with a lot of intentionality today. Don't let that internal conflict bleed out in ways and places that like you think you talk first and think later. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our lovers. We love this. Okay. So masculine and feminine energy right now. If you're in partnership, this could potentially even be feminine. You might notice that the masculine energy is temperamental right now, but like, I feel like this is masculine energy being like, it's not you. Like this is like where it's coming from. Like feminine energy might even point out, like there might even be some spat. I need to warn, there might be some spats today in partnership, and masculine is potentially going to try to ease this because feminine's seeing masculine like this and is like, why are you doing this? Why are you acting like this? Masculine may have to say to feminine, it's not you. This has nothing to do with us. The way I'm feeling right now, the way I'm behaving has nothing to do with us, because we see here that, again, this is masculine bearing something outside of the relationship that they feel like they don't have the power or the optics on. So this is the security of the partnership. Feminine, you could be kind of getting this right now. You could kind of be understanding that this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the partnership, which is why the partnership's being fortified. But be a little careful that this doesn't like bleed out into like actual like arguments today, because like that's just unnecessary. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership at this moment, this is that conflict area. Because again, feminine energy, you asked masculine for something for them to come back. Masculine provided it. Masculine was open. Masculine gave it to you. Now it's created a sense of conflict. Make sure that this doesn't become an external conflict, especially if you ask for this feminine, because masculine is also going to feel right now. Again, I have to stress this. If you asked for something from masculine and masculine gave it to you, and now you snap back, masculine's going to feel like you tricked them. Masculine's going to feel like you disempowered them. Masculine's going to feel like this was the plan all along to a certain extent, is what we're really seeing here. So feminine energy, I want you to be very mindful of that if this is the circumstance or situation. Because what we're effectively seeing right now that is causing a bit of a problem for the energies that are moving into partnership at this time is the fact that the masculine energy put themselves in a point of vulnerability specifically to come into partnership, knowing that what they were revealing was going to potentially create conflict. That was the kind of what the masculine was providing to try to reaffirm and confirm the relationship. Feminine, you may be identifying this right now in the masculine, which is why you feel like you might potentially be feeling very frustrated or in an impossible place right now if you effectively are seeing this and you're trying to move into union, because you're recognizing that you're feeling the conflict, but you also recognize the vulnerability it took for the masculine to effectively be open in this degree. And it's actually like it's giving you further confirmation that this is something that's like problematic and difficult, but you're doing everything you can to navigate that space. Masculine and feminine energy not in partnership, in separation right now. This is very triggering. This is very challenging. Masculine, feminine energy right now is in a moment where I need to stress right now, feminine. I see here the possibility to like react or have some kind of hostility right now to masculine is high. So I want you to work with a lot of intentionality right now, because you're potentially feeling a lot of frustration towards masculine energy that you feel did not necessarily stand towards you or stand supportive. You're keeping your focus right now on what union energy feels like, what divine union is right now. But you're potentially feeling the frustration around someone that you potentially hoped would be in that divine union vibration that you feel has effectively in some way let you down. It's creating a lot of conflict for you at this moment. Feminines, if you're feeling this, I want you to make sure that you're not moving from a state or space of reactivity at this time. Okay? Now, masculine energy that's in separation at this time, this is going to feel a bit, I have to say, this is going to give a bit more of an epiphany energy here. We like to see this because for some of the masculine energy that's seeing this right now, this is effectively you changing your own framework. This is you doing a lot of this internal work right now around partnership that's making you kind of have to come into a level or degree of self-mastery. You may be recognizing right now, masculine, some circumstances or situations that are creating a lot of conflict for you internally right now. They're feeling like they are somewhat disempowering. You're trying to come back into the sense of empowerment. But one of the things that you're also doing to help with this right now is, again, masculine energy. One of the things that you're focusing on right now is potentially divine union. It's coming into this point of understanding. It's potentially even bringing you into this space of contemplating divine union. And the problem right now for the masculine, and this is what we see right now, is this is masculine energy that if you are in separation, if you've chosen autonomy, if you turned away from a possibility of partnership right now, this is the masculine energy looking at divine partnership and asking themselves, does that make me feel empowered? Or does that make me feel weak? And masculine energy, you could potentially even be asking yourself right now if this is something that you desire. And if it is something you desire, why is there potentially something that it is triggering in you to consider it? Because we're seeing here that there's something about this right now that feels like it is a challenge to your own autonomy. This is that coming back to the work that we saw and we started at the beginning of this week. This is that point of observation between masculine energy, who's doing this work right now, feeling the difference between having one's own autonomy, calling the shots, being in a space of like, I follow, you lead, versus being in divine union energy. There's some of the masculine energy right now is not necessarily in a space or place where they're ready or they're welcome or they're willing to be in that role. Some of the masculine energy is okay with that. Some of the masculine energy right now, we see if you're doing this work right now, if you're in separation, you are now considering something different about relationships, but also recognizing the sacrifice of your own autonomy that potentially needs to be made to be able to come into divine union with all of the benefits that it may potentially provide. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Emperor and its reversal in combination with our King of Swords. So one of the things that we're seeing right now, and again, for masculine right now, this is going to feel like a bit of a struggle day. This is some heavy energy for masculine energy across the board. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. Because there's some circumstances and situations at play that feel like they are disempowering. They feel like they are a bit out of your hands. But you are coming forward and through this right now, and you are standing in your integrity to help navigate those feelings of disempowerment. I will stress again for masculine energy that is feeling like this. Make sure you're moving with intention today, because this could go either way. Okay? Moving with integrity and intention, or reacting from a place of feeling like your ego is being challenged, may be very heavy right now for the masculine energy. Feminine, you may be seeing that the masculine energy is in this vibration right now. That the masculine energy is kind of going back and forth in this. There's some places that they're struggling right now and they're trying to stay into a place of intentionality. Feminine energy is probably doing everything they can right now in partnership to try to keep the masculine energy in this space and place of thinking and moving with a lot of intentionality at this time. Masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership at this time. This is the fact that masculine had to basically do something that felt somewhat disempowering to show and prove their integrity. Feminine, you're seeing that that's the case. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is feminine energy effectively pushing away from masculine energy with a focus on masculine energy that's standing in integrity. This could be feeling like a lot more reactivity towards this type of energy as well today, feminine. I want you to make sure that you're utilizing a point of moving towards intentionality, not necessarily putting energy towards this. And masculine, this is, if you are in separation, this is you doing this work for yourself at this moment. You're identifying your weaknesses so that you can come forward with a point of greater strength. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Cups in its upright. So one of the things that we're seeing right now is an arrival and a return to the care of self. We love this right now. Feminine energy, what are you doing right now for masculine energy that is in this vibration? We see that you're doing everything you can to provide emotional and spiritual support. Feminine energy, we're almost seeing here again. You are kind of seeing the fact that masculine energy is struggling right now today in partnership. That there are potentially some spaces or places where they feel disempowered. They're trying to move with a lot of intentionality and integrity through this. You're doing everything that you can right now, not only to support them, but also to keep that sense and that layer and care of the self also in check. This is something, again, about the relationship, giving you that sense of security, giving you that sense of protection, allowing this sense of abundance to flow through in partnership. That is allowing this to be a positive moment, even through some difficulties potentially for the masculine energy. Masculine, you are potentially feeling this robust support that you have around you right now as you navigate these things. And that is also empowering you to help you through this, to stand in your integrity as you proceed forward from this point. Feminine and masculine energy that's working to get into union at this time. This is, again, a moment that is requiring a level or degree of care to be brought into circumstances or situations. Particularly for the feminine right now, you may be identifying the fact that masculine Again, while whatever you're receiving right now from the masculine may be feeling somewhat difficult, we are also recognizing the fact that you realize the amount of integrity it's effectively taken the masculine to come forward in this way. This is why we see that the return right now for feminine is potentially almost building this sense of self-care. Feminine energy is feeling some conflict points around this right now. Feminine might just be trying to internally navigate them. Not wanting to make masculine energy feel the weight of the fact that the feminine asked for something that is now hard for them to accept. Masculine, you may be identifying that this is effectively happening right now with feminine, that you're seeing the fact that this is something that, like, this is why you may have been worried to come forward and be open to feminine to this degree. But we see that you are also continuing to potentially try to stand firm on that, to stay in your integrity, because you recognize the fact that that's the only way to heal the partnership or to come into connection. This is something that is difficult, but is also supporting. Feminine energy and separation at this time, this is a return to self-care. This is feeling the frustration around some of the energy that you're leaving behind that you feel was not necessarily moving in a space or place where they desired partnership. This is why the feminine is now feeling frustrated, potentially if they're in separation at this time, because this is now feminine energy looking at masculine and saying they never wanted partnership. They never wanted partnership. And that's now feeling like something that feminine feels that was not necessarily a notion that was clarified to them. This is what's effectively happening right now with the feminine. Feminine is affirming to themselves at this moment not to go back to this energy, but to look for masculine energy that stands in their integrity in terms of what it is that they truly want. And they're returning that care of the self in the process. Masculine, this is that moment that you are also, if you are in separation, if you moved away from an offer or possibility of partnership at this moment, you are doing a lot of this work for yourself at this time. You are focusing and you're really doing internal work to ask yourself what it is that you're truly after. You're seeing it, you're recognizing it within the self right now, and you're giving yourself that immediate recognition is you going after it. This is you going after it. This is you affirming and committing to yourself that you are going to go after that thing. This is this is almost like that empowerment point. You're setting your sights on that, and it's almost immediately building this sense of healing within you. It's giving you a point of catharsis in recognizing that. It's reaffirming, it's empowering you, even through a moment that you may be feeling very disempowered. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Swords in combination with our Nine of Pentacles. Masculine and feminine energy right now in partnership. This is the beauty and the value of the partnership. Feminine energy, you are in a space right now. Feminine could be putting a lot of care and attention into an immediate environment, making that immediate environment as comfortable as possible right now. Really relying and resting right now in the security of a masculine energy that they really feel has their back. Feminine energy is feeling that point of comfort right now and potentially is trying to do everything they can to make that masculine energy comfortable through situations and circumstances that they recognize are giving the masculine energy a little bit of frustration today, right? There's a lot of care that's coming in here. Masculine, you may be feeling this from the feminine energy around you, that you're seeing and feeling the fact that feminine energy is doing everything they can to create a supportive environment for you, but that's also further empowering you at this moment. While for masculine and feminine that are coming into partnership right now, this is potentially masculine looking at the feminine and being like, are you okay? I told you all that stuff. Are you okay? And feminine's going, I'm okay. And they're like, are you sure? And you're like, I'm okay. Like feminine's going, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Like it's literally giving that kind of energy. It's not fine for feminine. There's a lot of stuff that we're seeing that's happening here. But masculine's going, are you sure you're okay? And she's like, I'm fine. Yeah. No, it's okay. I'm fine. And masculine's going, are you sure? This is masculine literally being like, are you sure? Because you could tell me. And she's going, no, I'm fine. It's fine. Masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now or in separation. This is that moment that we're effectively seeing that again. Feminine energy, this is why feminine energy is allowing this to be a healing point. Feminine energy is just resting in the security of feminine wanting and effectively manifesting and insisting and even potentially moving towards right now. Again, this is some fast moving feminine energy. Masculine energy, that stands in their integrity. Masculine energy is like, I'm good. I'm going to put this energy back in myself, particularly if I'm walking away from masculine energy that didn't have this ability or capacity. Because feminine energy is either immediately seeking or already working through finding masculine energy that is in this point of integrity, which is what feminine energy is effectively desiring at this point. Masculine, this is that moment that almost again, you're going through a point of crisis, potentially having that breath of air today, because something about this recognition point, something about this light bulb moment right now, even if you're in separation, that this reaffirmation, you're asking yourself the question, what is it that you are after? You're giving yourself the answer, and it's immediately creating a sense of comfort for you because it's giving you a mission. It's like you know what you're going after. You feel that within you. It's like an internal spark or internal fire you're feeling. And it's that affirmation to yourself. You might not even necessarily be moving towards it today. The work for the masculine doing this was identifying it within the self. That's all they needed. That's all you needed. And now that you've identified it, it's almost like immediately creating a space or place of catharsis. May I please have one card to clarify? Eight of Pentacles. Now the work begins. For masculine energy right now that's in separation, that's been going through this week of internal crisis, this point, this confirmation, this affirmation, this understanding, this light bulb moment of what it is that you're truly after right now, you're like, okay, now I know. Masculine energy is immediately almost feeling that supportive energy in this right now because it's clearing up within the masculine what it is that they're truly seeking, and it's making a space or place where they feel the productivity and they're like, okay, now I know what I need to do. Now I know what I need to do. Like that, it's creating this renewed, almost like a renewed investment in terms of what it is that you're truly seeking at this time. If it's partnership, if this is a person, you're like, okay, now I know what I need to. If this is a goal, then you're like, that's what I need to do. Whatever this is for the masculine right now in separation, this is that moment of being like, I know the work before me. I know where I need to put my energy. Now, masculine for feminine right now that's in separation, this is also a moment that feminine is giving that point of catharsis through some of these feelings of frustration or anger, or even wanting to snap back around energy that you feel may have misled you in some capacity. This is effectively the feminine energy coming into a space or place where you are effectively saying to yourself at this moment, you are resting back easy. You're taking comfort in your immediate environment. You're putting yourself to work right now to distract yourself from how you're feeling. This is feminine energy, taking that energy that they want to do, snap back or be reactive to masculine, that they feel somewhat wronged by, and instead putting it into productive places while they work to manifest masculine energy that stands in their integrity. Masculine and feminine energy that's coming into partnership at this moment, this is that moment that again, we saw here that this is, again, feminine was asking something from masculine. Masculine gave it to her. Feminine's like, oh dear God, what did you just tell me? Feminine energy is almost coming into a point of recovery. Masculine energy is like, are you okay? Feminine energy is going, I'm fine. Fine. Okay, good. Because there's something here about the fact that even now, this is showing the fact that this is the change. This is productive. It's not that it's easy, but it's productive. This is allowing for something that is showing an ability to put work in, to make adjustments, to navigate. This is almost giving feminine energy confirmation that this masculine has the ability to work with the feminine instead of trying to move in a space or place of hiding or manipulation or not being completely fully open or honest, i.e. being able to come into divine partnership. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in divine union right now, this is a moment that we're effectively seeing, that you are recognizing and you are observing the power of the partnership. That again, feminine energy is helping masculine energy through a point that is difficult. Situations or circumstances that may be triggering to masculine right now because they feel like they're effectively out of the masculine's hands. Feminine is doing everything they can to create a safe, comfortable space for the masculine. Masculine is appreciating the work in that. This is mutual work as they both set their sights in terms of what they're continuing on going forward. We love to see this in partnership right now. continuing to get clarity on these cards right now. These cards, they started out rough, guys, but we're moving into like a lot of productive, look at these cards today. Look at these 3 cards we've got here. This is how the day progresses. This is beautiful. We started off all rocky. Look at this. We're coming out beautiful, okay? We've got Lovers, Ace of Cups, and we've got our 8 of Pentacles. Beautiful. A lot of work right now, specifically as it relates to care of the self and divine partnership at this moment, okay? Clarification coming through right now between our Lover's energy in combination with our Ace of Cups. Now, in partnership, this is feeling the power, the comfort, the security of the partnership. The partnership is effectively helping navigate difficult spaces and places today. It is giving back. It is just almost like we've got that beautiful battery effect, that spiritual battery effect of the divine partnership, just providing support, encouragement, positivity to one another as you move through today, feeling that support, feeling that empowerment, allowing that to kind of motivate and drive you forward. Masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership, because we did see a lot of energy coming into partnership this week. We saw the fact that this is a moment that, again, it is that outpouring of care. Even in the fact of masculine recognizing that what they may have said to feminine was a little hard to bear. Masculine's trying to put that care in, being like, are you okay? And they're like, I'm okay. Feminine being in that point of being like, I have to say I'm okay because I need to support the fact that they came forward in this way. This is that point that's showing that there's something here that can work. So this is giving a point of positivity for the energy that's continuing on in this process. Feminine energy that is in separation right now, this is how you are restoring yourself at this moment, because you are keeping your focus on divine union. You're keeping the focus on the divine union that you're aspiring for, and that is why you are continuing to put this energy back into the care of the self. Okay, recognizing that you won't have to chase after divine union. It'll just be something that wants to be there. Okay, masculine energy that you are also, what we love about this, again, for the masculine energy that is in separation right now, if you chose against partnership at this time, this is allowing that point of self-contemplation that is firmly fixing in your head not only what it is that you're truly after, but whether or not or what that divine partnership would look like for you as you move for those goals. This is where we see that point of catharsis being reached right now for even the masculine energy right now that is in separation, because this is that light bulb moment that's hitting, that says, oh, I know what I want right now. I figured it out. I had to do a little bit of internal journeying. I had to go through a lot of internal conflict. I had to literally lose some possibilities and potentials that masculine, you may even be realizing that you may have self-sabotaged around a little. But now it's like you've got that clarity. You see it now. It's completely clear. You know? May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our 8 of Cups. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is working in union and partnership. This is that moment that feels like it is self-supporting. It is allowing you to feel this moment, this energy of having this level or degree of support that is coming through. And it is that moment right now that's effectively allowing you not only to continue to feel the empowerment in terms of what it is that you're creating right now in this moment, but also to move away from any hurdles, to move away from any blockages, not to let yourself get caught on those spaces and places, but just to recognize effectively what is working versus what is not. And that's what's allowing that level or degree of easement to come through right now. It's helping you clear your own hurdles, because there's no need to effectively stay around something that is just creating more difficulty or more complications. We're really seeing here that this is that moment that's just kind of reaffirming your own path at this time. Now, this is also, I will point out, we did identify that for a lot of the partnered energies right now, this has been a lot of recalling your own energy back at this time, wanting to be able to have that, to be able to put into new opportunities, new possibilities, new prospects, new endeavors that you're trying to move towards right now in partnership at this time. This is a continuation of that process that we saw yesterday. Masculine and feminine energy that's coming into partnership right now, this is more of that confirmation. This is almost allowing this point of confirmation. As you do this work right now, as masculine energy opens up, talks to feminine, tells feminine what feminine wants to know, answers the feminine's questions, feminine feeling a little bit of the blowback in terms of getting back what you asked for and having to deal with that information, there's almost something that immediately feels cathartic and restorative in that moment. And it's almost confirming the path that you're laying right now. That there is something here in recognizing that you're moving away from other possibilities, but it's not something that you're even worrying about too much, because you're moving in the direction of something that is effectively standing out as opposed to something that is feeling it. The reason you're doing this right now is because it feels so much more different. It feels so different. And it's that difference that is working right now that's like guiding you away from anything that like you may have been lingering around. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation. Feminine energy, again, is refusing to let themselves wait. Feminine energy is refusing to wait. Feminine energy is not going to effectively wait for a masculine energy to come into the desire of divine union right now. Feminine energy is letting that be the confirmation, bittersweet as it may be, to walk away from circumstances and situations that they don't necessarily feel are towards them or showing that capacity right now. This is why feminine energy right now is putting this care and attention back into the self at this moment, because feminine energy is recognizing that this is what they're walking towards. Not necessarily, if not in partnership or separation, not necessarily a person, but an endeavor to have this type of energetic connection with someone. Masculine, for your part, if you are in separation right now, this is that moment. And I need to stress this for some of the masculine energy. This is a moment that you are trying to potentially even decide between this right now. Because masculine energy, you are still weighing this. If you are in separation at this time, if you turn down a possibility for union or partnership, this is a moment that you are potentially having to identify and understand. For some of the masculine energy, this could be feeling like a bit of a turning point. Is this something that you want to continue to move into on your own? Having the care of the self being the sole priority? Or are you now identifying that that would be in divine union? If this is something that you would actually desire. Masculine energy right now, there's a point that may feel like a choice because this is a departure point for you. You're struggling right now with a lot of the trauma informed around this because there's some kind of trauma that you might be experiencing around divine union that you're trying to effectively work through right now. Masculine energy, this is a moment that, again, masculine energy that's in separation. You could fall on two different sides of the wayside with this right now. This is effectively you coming into a point of recognizing and feeling the desire and need to move into divine union. Feeling like that's going to feel like the restorative point for you. That is the turning point that's effectively happening at this moment. For the other part of the masculine energy right now, this could be a moment that you're still choosing your own level or degree of autonomy as you pursue some outside goal beyond partnership at this time. This is that point for the masculine that we're seeing more of that segmentation potentially happening if you're in separation. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Cups in combination with our Eight of Pentacles. So I love to see these two cards in combination today because what we're really effectively seeing right now is a lot of focus on care of the self today, on what feels like it is restorative, what feels like it is empowering, and channeling a lot of that frustrated energy. What effectively feels most empowering is challenging any of that frustrated energy into practical spaces and places today. We're seeing a lot of this, like people are just working through it. They're just going to work it. They're just working through it. Just let yourself work through it to a certain extent. May I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the moon in its reverse. We got some clarity coming here. There's some clarity. There's almost something here about building that sense of clarity. And here's what we like about this. You know, feminine energy and masculine energy that are in partnership right now. There's a feeling or a degree of transparency coming to things right now. That's like really clear and clarifying. It helps things. It's almost like as you work through right now, a lot of the anxiety and doubts and fears that you may have started the day off with today are going to become, things are becoming clear. It's like things are just becoming clear. Is all we're really seeing. And we're almost seeing that that's what's allowing. It's either the observation that this will become clearer, or it's the fact that as you work, things do become clearer, that like is allowing you to further continue that point of empowerment at this time. You know, this is almost like working for that clarity, or doing the things in the areas that like you can, to build as much clarity as possible in terms of what that like longer path is going to look like. Now, masculine and feminine energy that's moving into partnership right now, this is exactly why, even if it's difficult right now, even if what the feminine is receiving from the masculine is difficult and vice versa, that it is showing a level or degree of productivity, because it is the observation of honesty coming into play. It is the observation of no illusions, of someone being completely open, completely honest, completely clear. And that clarity, even if it is difficult to bear, is what is allowing a point of productivity and support going forward. This is why those energies are moving into union at this time. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is the clarity that you're building within the self at this moment. Feminine energy, as difficult as some of this may feel right now, feminine energy feels like they can see exactly what has happened. This is why the feminine energy isn't going back to the masculine right now to try to get this clarity, because feminine energy feels like they have this clarity. Feminine energy is effectively allowing themselves to work through this right now, because feminine energy feels like there's not much to go back to ask the masculine. Because feminine energy almost recognizes that if the masculine was trying to mislead them in some way, shape, or form, you can't go back to a masculine energy that was seeking to mislead you and ask them for the truth. Feminine energy recognizes that that's not something that you can do. Instead, what is feminine putting their energy towards? Masculine energy that stands in their integrity. That's the point. This is feminine energy coming into that point of catharsis and committing themselves and saying, I already have the truth. I don't need to go back to get it. It's all clear. And that's allowing the feminine energy to redouble and refocus on the work that they're doing for themselves at this time and this level and degree of self-care. Masculine, this level of clarity and separation that you've reached to yourself right now, thank you for the gift, is effectively the clarity of what it is that you're truly seeking. This may even take some recalibration in terms of like where you're putting your time, effort, and energy at this time. This is that renewed sense of purpose, because something has become very clear to you that wasn't necessarily clear before. This is that moment that we're seeing that is effectively allowing for the masculine energy right now to feel that point of like catharsis through this point of crisis, because this is the moment that something has now become clear within you. And that point of clarity, that goal that you're reaching for, be it a person, be it partnership, be it a situation, whatever that goal is, it is what is effectively lighting the way for you right now. And it's focusing your efforts in that regard that's helping you as you proceed forward from this point. Final cards for today's spread between our 8 of Cups in combination with the Moon card. So, again, a little bit of a bittersweet energy coming through here right now. A little bit of a bittersweet energy. Because what we're effectively seeing right now is a lot of clarity coming into play around circumstances or situations that's allowing a movement and progress forward past any blockages. We are seeing here that that's that clarity that's coming into play. This is almost like a point of observation in terms of anything that isn't providing that sense of clarity, just being something that you're moving away from right now. You know? Masculine and feminine in partnership right now, this is receiving and having the relief of that clarity at play right now in your partnerships that's helping you navigate away from things that just feel like they're creating those hurdles and blockages. Maybe even conversations right now in spaces and places that you're seeing these blockages, trying to get that unified solution in terms of how to overcome them. Masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership right now, it is this clarity that you're getting on both sides that is reaffirming your own commitment to walk away from any situations or circumstances that are not in that same way. And it's potentially, again, it's that recognition that you're moving away from something but it's also something that like you understand why. It's the honesty that's giving you that sense of empowerment that this is something that can be overcome. Feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is the clarity that you're giving yourself, and you're just walking away from something. It's bittersweet. You didn't want it, but you see the truth of something and you're letting that guide your way. Masculine, this is you effectively making a choice in separation. This is masculine. You're potentially recognizing your own hurdles, your own blockages, the spaces and places that you've been blocking yourself to a certain degree. And it's this commitment and confirmation that's helping you as you proceed forward, because something is becoming very clear to you today that wasn't clear before. May I please have the final card in our spread? Is this it? Whoop, wait, come back. Does this one look familiar? We started our reading yesterday with this card. The most important thing right now that's happening is, again, that sense of urgency coming back into play right now. The only issue right now for the energy that play right now is feeling like you don't have enough time. Okay? Masculine and feminine energy right now that's in partnership. This is more of that vibration that we saw yesterday about the fact of having to consolidate your time, your energy, your resources, potentially pulling back, walking away from some things with just the fact that you can't be overextended right now. You're trying to really consolidate your energy and efforts in terms of the spaces and places that feel like you can have the most value in partnership at this time. Masculine and feminine energy that are moving into partnership or union at this moment, this is also what you're doing. You're pulling out of other things right now. You're consolidating your effort and energy into the space or place that you're recognizing that you're getting that point of clarity going forward. And for masculine and feminine energy that are in separation right now, this is what is guiding you forward. Feminine is not, I need to say this again, this is all we keep getting for this feminine energy right now, especially in separation. Feminine energy is committed not to wasting their time. Feminine energy does not feel like they have time to waste. They're walking away from anything that doesn't feel like it is sure in terms of what it is that it desires. If it is not honest, if it is not clear, if it's not upfront, feminine energy has zero time for it. And that's why feminine energy is even closing out cycles more quickly right now, because feminine energy is just not making any space. This is that frustration. This is that impatience, which may even be turning into like a little bit of like frustrated energy today for the feminine. Feminine energy's got one thing that they do not want. They do not want masculine energy wasting their time. Masculine, if you are in separation at this time, this is you finally potentially having this moment of realization on what it is that you truly want at this moment. And this is potentially you throwing yourself into it full throttle. Whatever this decision that you reach today, whatever this is that you truly want to go after at this moment, this is you kind of like moving forward towards it very, very with like a lot of focus. Because this is effectively that moment that like you're almost feeling the frustration and feeling like you may have wasted too much time, or you may be a little late to the punch as it relates to some of this. This is like trying to like make up for lost time for masculine energy that's going through this right now. Bottom of the deck on our reading today is decisions. Decisions need to be reached. There are choices that need to be made. Feminine energy, again, feminine energy laid some heavy judgment down if they were in separation. Feminine energy is like seeing like the moment of that. Feminine energy, the problem with so masculine and feminine energy right now that's in partnership, these are some of the choices that you feel like you need to make going forward right now. There potentially could be feelings right now of some decisions that need to be made that haven't been made or are being shelved right now, but like bigger decisions that need to be potentially spoken about and addressed. Energy that is in moving into partnership, this is the anxiety of judgment coming into play here. We pointed out, masculine said some stuff to feminine potentially that feminine asked for that was hard for feminine to take. Feminine is working really hard right now not to be judgmental, to keep an open mind, to not necessarily let themselves judge the masculine, knowing that they effectively told the masculine potentially that they would not judge them were they to do so. Masculine is feeling the weight of that judgment. Masculine is potentially feeling the anxiety and weight of that judgment that they were worried about, that they can potentially see that this is what's happening right now. Now, Feminine energy and separation right now, this is you feeling the anger and the frustration of judging the masculine. This is no longer about feminine being copacetic about it. It's the fact that feminine energy's got some pretty specific opinions around the masculine energy that they may feel has wasted their time up until this point. Masculine, this is potentially you trying to move into a vibration of having to want to go back to things or needing to address things, and recognizing that you may require or need a point of reconsideration on some things. Masculine energy, whatever this is that you're like landing upon right now, if you are in separation, this is potentially you having to reconsider some things, given what you're effectively understanding now about yourself at this moment, and potentially recognizing right now that it may take other energy to reconsider it as well. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracedraga.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind that if you book a private reading with me on my website, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never inbox you. I will never PM you. I will never DM you. I will never slide into your PMs and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing in these readings. And we will do this again tomorrow.